Hello and welcome to the Agenda on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes and I'm joined, as always, by Phil Moorhouse of the
Hello.
Different Bias fame. How you doing, Phil? You all
I'm all
right?
right.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, how's the weather in near
It's
Donny?
not. It rains now and then here. When everyone had that snow, we had a
Yeah.
small flurry that didn't settle, so that was good.
I had to go to the next village with a shovel to dig Cat's car
Oh
out
yeah,
of the
yeah. We have the
Durham.
Pennines covering us, so we don't really get
Yeah,
much.
we're on the
There
same
was
side
that
of the
time in
Pennine as you.
2010. That time in 2010 when we got absolutely battered, but by and large, we don't really get much.
Ha ha. Well, it's absolutely teeming it. Oh, it's gone off a bit now, but earlier it was absolutely teeming it down here in Durham. Big shout out to Lost Missionary and Gallifrey and Ven and Simon Smith and Vendetta and One Angry Pagan, Liam and Saz. Hello, everyone. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, join the socialites, join the conversation, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel. So if you already subscribed, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to find out when we're going to be going live, because sometimes on this channel we can be a bit random. We can just try and keep to a schedule, but sometimes events, my dear, events. So we had a budget this week, right? Did that
Yeah.
happen? I didn't
Yeah.
hallucinate that. Okay, so I made a joke yesterday about the fact that if she had just come out and like opened a case and like Lennon had popped out, they would have given her the same kind of reception that she got, because the tabloids went absolutely bananas. They went on and on about Benefit Street, which I guess the
Yeah.
Tories had prepped in advance to say, "Oh, it's all Benefit Street, it's Benefit Street." But the actual people who benefited the most from this that I can see are pensioners, because they've seen a 500 quid uptick in their pension. So if there's two of them, is that £1,000 a year? They're getting more now.
Um, well, I mean, that's the triple lock. It
Yeah,
just went up by the triple lock, but it
bloody
goes up.
hell.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, pensioners, first of all, there's two sides to it, isn't it? On the one hand, the state pension in this country is shite compared to similar countries.
Yeah,
So getting a significant increase, they're still starting from a base of shit. But the other side of it is, of course, they vote. It's really that simple. They vote. So, I mean, look what happened when Labour thought, I reckon we could take 200 quid a year off them. Look what a shitstorm that
yeah,
created.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
first thing they did. I reckon they don't all need the winter fuel allowance. That's 200 quid a year, 200 quid a year. And their energy bills were about 200 quid lower anyway that winter. So they were no worse off,
Yeah.
because the pension had gone up above. But the shitstorm that created. So I tell you what I thought was a remark about the budget until I then learned the context is when she reduced the cash ISA cap down from 20,000 to 12,000. I thought, oh, well, the people that really like cash ISAs are pensioners, right?
Yes.
Because they're not thinking long term. I thought that's a
No.
bit risky. But then I found out over 65s are exempt from
Yeah.
it. So I thought,
So they
yeah,
can
that
still
makes
take
sense.
out 20,000,
Yeah.
can't they? Straight in cash, because pensioners need 20 grand to pay off their
Well, no,
drug
it's
dealers.
it's it's more the way ISA works. It's just making sure, like if you put money in a savings account, you're losing money every year because the interest rate's lower than the rate of inflation. So it's just to make sure your investments stay above. But like I'm putting some money into an investment ISA now for my retirement because I'm no longer paying into a pension,
Yeah.
which is fine because it's for the long term. But once you start retiring, most pensioners don't really think long term, for reasons, and so they want to put it into a cash ISA to be super safe.
Yeah.
Um,
Vendetta says fuck pensioners. Well, yeah, they're more eager.
no, right. I'll tell you what I don't like on social media at the moment, and this is a right-wing thing people are falling for. They're trying to make it now about pensioners versus workers. Oh yeah, we're paying these extra pension for these lazy pensioners, or we're paying these things for the lazy people on benefits, many of whom are workers, by the way. And it's really no. Can we remember why everyone is in the shit right now?
Yes.
Because I looked it up, right? I looked this up in 2010,
Yes.
like I think it was the top 10%. The top 1%, sorry, the top 1% of the country owned 20% of everything, like all the wealth in the country. In
Yeah.
2010, they owned 20% of it all. They now own 23% of it all. The wealth is going upwards. That's the
Yes.
problem.
Yeah. It's not trickling down, it's trickling up.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, it's not a trickle. It's more of a waterfall.
Well, it's moving
Cascade.
upwards. It really doesn't matter if it's a
Cascading
trickle
up.
or a flood. It's going in the wrong bastard direction is what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not helped when people offer like the solutions that provably don't work. We should start offering better solutions.
Yeah.
But I will say this about the budget. So it is quite interesting in terms of where the burden has fallen, because it has fallen on the rich.
I like this from Liam. He says, blame the rich, comma.
I'm not into blaming any group.
No, but I
of
like
people
that, because that sounds like something they're saying in Star Wars. Do you know what I mean? They all look at each other at the end after they've blown up the Death Star, and they all go, blame the rich, always.
But I'm not into any divisions.
Anyway, rich
I would
people.
avoid all of them. But what was interesting is, so when the experts had looked at it, what they concluded was the tax risers are disproportionately loaded up onto the top 20%, so the top 2 deciles. So that's okay, the people with the broader shoulders.
Yes.
But not the top 1%.
This is true.
So it's one of those double-edged swords that it's like it is landing. And what someone said, what one expert did note is, and this is where, again, it's because of public perception, the public are doing themselves no favors. So what they noted was, so this freeze in the personal tax allowance, which disproportionately hits those on the higher incomes, but in terms of all the tax things by and large, but not the very top, because if you're earning above £125,000 a year, you don't get the personal allowance anyway. So that doesn't affect you. Some of the others may do, but that one doesn't, because you're already above the top. Once you're above the top band, there's no such thing as fiscal drag for you, right? You're already in the top band and anything. So you know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of difference to you, and you've already lost the personal allowance. Whereas what they said is, if instead of that 3-year freeze in personal tax allowance, you had a 1p increase in all of the rates of income tax, that would make the same amount of money, but would mean that more of that tax burden is being hit on the ones at the top.
Yeah. Well,
of course, the public don't like the idea of income tax going up. So politically, you can't do that, or not as easily. We're going to.
Because I hang around with penniless artists, I don't know anyone who's really been affected by this in a major negative way. The closest I can get is the fact that now because we've got an EV, we're going to have to pay 300 quid a year more towards the maintenance of the roads. And I think, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
it's still way cheaper. The problem with EVs, of course, is the cost of getting them in the first place.
82 pence a day.
The cost of running them, even with this, is still way less than a petrol car.
Yes. Even with this. I mean, a lot less. I mean, we're talking like, it costs 70 quid a week when we had the diesel. And now it's 3 quid a week. On our electricity. It's just so much cheaper. But
the other thing about
we might go to Liverpool and then it's like 6 quid.
They're all loaded up towards the latter half of the parliament anyway. And I keep saying they may not even make it there. Like, the reason for these tax rises is because the OBR downgraded. They've upgraded this year's growth forecast because it's now happening.
Yes.
And they've downgraded future ones. But I'm going to say there's some things which might cause them to upgrade those growth forecasts that they're not taking into account, because they can't take them into account. So it may well be
Trump
that in a couple of years' time.
Trump carking it.
It might not even come to that. Like, his tariff, like the OBR have said that not the only, but the chief cause of this downgrade is Trump's tariffs. Well, the Supreme Court don't sound like they like his tariffs. So, and also Trump's had to be pragmatic. He's already had to cut back a load of tariffs. He's already slashed 100 tariffs on food and drink items after those election losses earlier this month, because he now recognises he's got the cost of living, or affordability as they're calling it there, is biting him on the arse. He used it to his advantage from opposition, and now it's hurting him.
But he never did these tariffs to help America or anything like that. What he wanted was for world leaders to turn up at the White House, and for leaders of industry, tech leaders, to turn up in the White House and give him a gift and say, here you go. here's a gold iPhone. And he says, thank you very much, Tim Apple. I will give you an exemption for smartphones.
See, I don't know why we
computers.
didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, we did, didn't we? We
Switzerland
turned up
did.
with, we gave him a fucking letter he couldn't read, remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he went, I can't read this. And he gave it to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister said, it says you're invited to come to a very exciting meal with a bunch of really very ugly people. And he was like, oh, great, a meal with ugly people. And then he sat there whinging about not getting a
do you see what
burnt
Switzerland
steak
did?
with tomato ketchup or whatever the fuck he eats.
You see what Switzerland did?
No. Oh, they gave him a fucking gold bloody a Rolex.
Bar.
A Rolex. They gave him a gold bar and a Rolex.
And an antique watch.
I thought it was like a desk clock, like a gold
They might have
Rolex
done that as well, but
desk clock or something. This
but
literally
they
turned
gave
up
him-
with gold like the Three Wise Men. I went here.
But the thing is, right, because he'd properly hammered Switzerland with tariffs. Because, of course, like, Switzerland does a good line in luxury items, so they probably sell high value goods to American. They don't really buy much American shit. So he proper hammered them.
Yeah.
And then they gave him an embossed gold bar and because Switzerland, a timepiece, an antique timepiece. And he knocks the tariffs down to 15% for him. So there's like people in the E going, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
How the hell did that happen? because they bribed him.
They bribed him openly.
I don't know why we didn't do that. That will have cost the Swiss state nothing.
Yeah.
That's a gold bar with president embossed on it and a pissing watch or clock or whatever.
Give him a gong. Give the dickhead a gong.
This is what I said they should do for Ukraine to get him to back Ukraine properly. The
Give him
should invent a peace prize.
A gold AR-15 or something.
They should invent a peace prize called the Don't Be a Dick to Ukraine Peace Prize and say, Don, all you have to do is not be a dick to Ukraine. And this is your solid gold trophy, mate. Yeah. Solid gold. And no one else in the world has got one. We're doing it just for you. I don't know why they don't do that. Why are politicians so stupid these days? At the end of the day, is a mob boss. Treat him like a mob boss.
Yeah. So let's get back to the budget. Do you think Labour lost control of the narrative on this one
before a year and a half ago?
Before because there was all these leaks, there was all this like misinformation, U-turns on U-turns, and then for the OBR to release
that weren't their fault.
Their reports. No, it's the OBR's fault. But I mean, come on, was that a mistake for that to happen at 12 o'clock? Was that like an intern who cost the British economy £1 billion fucking pounds?
Not an intern. I mean, I know we can joke about it and think it was just like, some office junior who clicked send a bit early. The budget is a top secret, it's a big security operation. Yeah. So I know we were laughing in the WhatsApp thing about the fact they've hired a cybersecurity expert to find out who clicked send. It's because no one clicked send. It will actually have a complex, and someone's in deep shit. It should not have happened. It's not down. It's not like, Tim, can you upload the budget today, but don't do it until like before 1 o'clock or something. Yeah. It's a huge security operation because you cannot allow budget information to get leaked to anyone who might take advantage of any sort of like insider trading type stuff. So you've actually got to keep the whole thing locked down until Reeves is announcing it.
You let Dougal do a fiscal report.
But so it's not like someone who just mucked it up. There will be, but it shouldn't have been possible because it is a proper
unbelievable. Do you reckon it matters now on the other side of the budget? Does all of the preamble, all of the bullshit, the OBR? Do you think this is just everyone's going to have forgotten by next week?
Hopefully.
I mean, everyone's forgotten that Trump knocked down half the White House. That was a couple of weeks ago. Everyone's forgotten that Charlie Kirk was shot. Like, these things happen, and it's like a week later, it's like, oh, yeah.
Well, Erica hasn't. She's now saying she's back in JD Vance because it's what Charlie said she should do. So apparently Charlie gave her all these instructions, even though we weren't expecting to be dead, on what she should do. So someone pointed out to me, one of my viewers pointed out, this is like Del Boy saying to Rodney, oh, our mother on her deathbed said, you needed to know this, Rodney. That's what she's going to do now. Everything she does, she's like a medium.
It's what he would have wanted.
It's what he like, this is what Charlie wanted. It's not what he would have wanted. No. This is what
he shouted up to me.
He gave her an entire life's worth of instructions.
Yeah. And also,
this is going to be the sermon according to St. Charlie.
According to, I will talk about this on the show tonight, but according to a trans content creator on OnlyFans. He spent $30,000 watching her videos.
All right.
A trans woman. Anyway, massive hypocrite. So yes, so you don't think it matters? Well, I mean,
well, I hope it does. I don't know whether it does. I just hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the budget was only there to adjust. Like the budget was last year. That was supposed to be the budget for the entire Parliament. This was just an adjustment.
Mm. Do you think that Labour was right to raise taxes at this juncture? 26 billion, they reckon, is going to be raised.
Well, yeah, because they need to keep the spending plans. Yeah. And also what she needed to do, one of the things she was criticised for last year was not leaving herself much headroom. So basically, as soon as Trump won the election, literally 3 days later, that was her headroom knackered. Yeah. So now she's given herself a more normal amount of headroom. So if there's any little wobbles over the next year, she should still be fine.
Okay. And they're bringing down, one of the things they talked about was bringing down the the borrowing for day-to-day costs. Apparently it's over 120 billion at the moment, and they're hoping to bring that down to zero by the end of this Parliament and actually have a surplus, which is quite interesting. But do you think that the this whole thing looked like prudent caution, or do you feel like there was a lack of ambition in this, considering there's all things?
The ambition was last year when people talk about like this budget was something she didn't even plan to do. Like this time last year, well, not this time, because by then you knew Trump was in, but when she gave her budget last year, she was basically hoping that this year she could just say, do you know what, everything's fine. I'm giving pensioners more money, minimum wage is going up. That's it, done.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. That was the plan. The plan was to give businesses certainty after years of like Brexit chaos. She'd be able to say, this is the budget, this is what we're doing, these are the taxes you're paying, this is what we're trying to do. And there'd be very little else to announce year to year. But obviously that went badly wrong because she didn't give herself much headroom, because she was trying to like squeeze as much spending as she could out, and like for investment. And Trump happened.
Trump, unfortunately,
and it didn't help. I will say where Labour messed up is that, and they keep doing it, is they keep banging on about doom and gloom stuff. They need to start hyping things up.
They do. If you're watching this and you're in the chat, or you want to join the chat, just hit the subscribe button so you can. If it's affecting you negatively, like really badly, let us know, because I'm quite interested in where it's actually fucked things up for people, in what they were planning to do with their life. Because one of the things I often think about is how Brexit fucked up the life plans of millions of people in this country, including myself.
Well,
and we're not doing the thing that we would be doing at this age, at this time in 2025, had it not been for Brexit.
Well, also, in terms of that side of it, so think about this. So there was a report that had just come out. The Lib Dems have been trying to promote it, but it's a report from America. So it's not in this country. They haven't commissioned it, from a group of American economists. So for quite a long time, economists believed that Brexit would suppress our GDP by 4%, right? But we've now got several years of data. So this group of American economists has now calculated how much it has suppressed various things, including GDP. And at this point, they've worked out somewhere between 6 and 8%. So the Lib Dems have taken their figures and they've calculated that it's costing the Treasury about £90 billion a year. Yeah. So think about this. So Rachel Reeves raised about 25 to 26 billion pounds in extra taxes, right? That's not because there was a hole like that. She's also done it to give herself more headroom. But nonetheless, she's raised an extra, in theory, 25 to 26 billion pounds over 5 years, right? That's over a 5-year period. And all of this fuss is over about 25 billion pounds.
Yeah.
But according to this report, over a 5-year period, because of Brexit, nothing else, not the war in Ukraine, not COVID, nothing else, just purely down to Brexit. In that same 5-year period, the Treasury is missing out on 450 billion pounds.
Yes.
So all this fuss about 25 billion, and no one seems concerned about the 450 billion pounds. Imagine that. She could take that 25 billion. She wouldn't have had to put up those taxes.
No.
She wouldn't have had to put up the taxes last year either.
No.
And she could have split the difference. She could have said 200 billion pounds so that I could treble my investment, because she announced basically about an extra 100 billion pounds worth of public funded investments last year. she could have trebled that
Yep.
and spent another £200 billion on actually having tax cuts. She could have announced, she wouldn't have done because the Tories would have already done it, right? But nonetheless, like in terms of where we are now compared with if you hadn't had Brexit, we could have had tax cuts and increased spending.
Do you think it was a mistake for Labour to put in the manifesto, we will not increase taxes on working people, income tax and national insurance specifically?
That I don't know. That depends on what research they did on it. Did they do it out of what is often called in politics an abundance of caution? It's a phrase I've seen today.
No, but they did. They should have. They should have said. They should have given themselves some wiggle room there in the manifesto.
They might not have been able to. They may. I don't know. I honestly don't know. If they'd done some research and found that the public, if the public were sort of saying, look, cost of living crisis, I don't want my taxes going up at all, they may have been forced to do that. They may just have had no option.
I think they would have,
because they knew the Tories were going to go hard on taxes. They knew that. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's also why they didn't mention Europe, because they knew that the boogeyman would have been pulled out by Farage and by Rishi Sunak. If you vote for Labour, we're back in Europe. We're back in Europe.
Well,
and
trying
to
that
make the whole argument about Europe.
So there were certain things they just had to promise. I mean, economic, like people are saying, it's one of these problems. Like, if we raised income tax, that would hit the richest.
Yeah,
it would disproportionately hit the richest as well. But because it would hit everyone, people go, I don't want that. Even though it might mean that some other taxes could go down.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, economically, it would have been better for Labour to increase income tax by 2%, but put national insurance down by 2%.
Yeah. Yeah, because national insurance is quite regressive compared with...
it's very regressive.
Compared with...
But the problem is, of course, that would disproportionately hit the very richest, including the top 1%.
Yeah.
But it would also hit pensioners.
Yeah. I can't see anyone else in the chat getting upset about like having to pay more.
Motability was the only thing. Motability.
Just
I didn't see anything else.
Approve said I'm fine with tax rises. One argument paying says taxes are necessary. One of the things they could have done, I thought, which they didn't, which we talked about, I think, in advance, but leveling up the amount that you have to pay on capital gains, which I think is about 25% at the moment, to 40%, same as income tax.
They have put up dividends by 2%. The tax you pay on dividends.
Yeah. But not enough.
That affects the rich, yeah, sure. But
a lot of people are looking at it and saying, why not tax the wealthy? But then there are systemic problems about that. And I want to talk about this in particular. The mansion tax. Okay, this is a tiny tax on 1,000th of the value of your property if you own a £2.5 million property.
Yeah, exactly. Someone with one of these houses is still paying less, even with because they'll pay council tax as well. They're still paying less as a proportion of the value of the property than someone in a normal semi.
Yeah. There's people in terrace houses around here who pay more council tax than they do in Mayfair. Which is the most expensive square on Monopoly. But one of the mad things about this is quite I can see some problems with this, depending on how they go about it, because how do you decide how much a property is worth? And are we going to have some people whose property is worth around 2 million purposefully, I don't know, filling the front garden with shit, smashing out some windows, painting the front door in horrible colour, and just bringing the price down a little bit, putting up some British flags on the lampposts? None of the posh places in the country have British flags because they know it brings down the property prices.
They're not sending an estate agent round to every property.
Okay, so if you have a property that's 1.999 million, right? They don't have to pay the surcharge, but if it's 2 million, they do. It seems like a weird cutoff.
The way it's not, there's everything to do with tax has a cutoff. But the way they will have, and this is why they're not bringing it in straight away, because they can't, because you know what they're going to have to do.
They have to revalue houses.
Huh?
They're going to have to revalue all the houses, aren't they?
And they're going to have to they'll use AI for that. And then that'll mean once they've done that, once they can do that, then that will inevitably mean it should be straightforward from there to reform council tax itself.
Yeah.
Because that's what needs to happen. We need to like have a system of allowing which now with like modern technology you can do, where we can just assign a likely value to property. It doesn't have to go to a specific property. Someone wants to argue the toss and say, I couldn't sell my house for 2 million. I don't give a shit. We're taxing you, right? You know, the government are deciding the taxes. They decide the cutoff point, so they can also decide the value of houses. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Yeah. It is quite funny though, because there's the various people in London, of course, where you pay stupid prices for houses, going, oh, my house is worth 2 million. It's not really a mansion. Well, no, it's your fault for living in London, mate. I actually put it on a WhatsApp group, didn't I?
Yeah.
A 1.5 million actual mansion, really posh, right, in Doncaster. That they won't pay the surcharge, and that's a proper
you
mansion.
can get a castle up here for 1 million.
Oh, never mind 1 million. I saw in the Guardian there was this there was a converted castle, North Ayrshire, should be miles away from anywhere, but 500,000.
Yeah,
an actual castle.
There's a detached old farmhouse, 4 bedrooms, up on the hill on the across the valley here, and that's up for less than a 1-bedroom flat in London.
Yeah.
And it's right on the hill. It's got its own massive driveway. It's got land around it. It's got 4 bedrooms. It's fucking huge.
It's cheap up north. That's not where the people are.
Yeah.
It's not where the people or the investment
it's grim
is.
up north. It's not. We're all happy because we're not spending all this
Well,
money.
you say that, we also get paid more. Well, it depends what you are. I mean, I said, as a former teacher, right, you know, I never complained about a teacher's salary as a teacher because it's basically only a couple of grand less than if you live in London. Only I don't live in London.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy a house round here for like a whippet and half a can of beans.
Well, Nick points out that I own a private island and a castle would be a downgrade. That's absolutely true, because a castle would be wet and drafty and cold. Like, unless I had one of those massive fireplaces where you had to burn half a forest to keep warm.
Yeah, but you can also roast
Don't need that on my island.
It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, but I can have like a pig on a spit on my island, can't I? Because it's an island. Yeah, you do that kind of thing. Brad W. for the £5 super chat. I will say thank you, sir. The first super chat of the afternoon. Maybe the real tax burden is the friends we made along the way. Sorry. Very good. If we get another 9 super chats, and that's 6. If we get there you go. If you get another 9 super chats, then we will get confetti. So if you want to make Diz very happy, you can throw in some small super chats, and we will get there. I think maybe. Just click approve says I've been won over regarding the excise on EVs, but we really should be investing heavily in public transport and immediately raising fuel duty. With the fuel duty was frozen, and this was another carry-on from the Tory policies. But the big carry-on from the Tory policies that everyone's moaning about, this is the big tax rise, is the fact that the thresholds have been frozen. They were frozen under the Tories. Yeah. They put in their budget, the last one before the election, that they were going to stay in place till 2028 anyway.
Yeah.
So if Labour or the Tories had won the last election, we would still be in this situation. Yeah. Would all the covers of all the newspapers be talking about Benefit Street and socialism and the ghost of Lenin, you know, tapping Rachel Reeves' shoulder, going, collectivization.
No,
everyone should have got the reports to get to the farm in the morning. To get
the reporting is completely different.
To get their work chitties for the day.
And the Tories would have immediately put up taxes.
Yes.
Just like they did in 1992.
Yes. And they would have just been brazen about it, and the tabloids wouldn't have cared. My point when the budget came out was like, if she had just gone full on socialist, like nationalised literally everything, nationalised the king's teeth, then brilliant. The newspapers would have had the same headlines, the exact same headlines. There would have been no difference. So we talked a bit about the big picture. We talked about the threshold freeze and the mansion tax. So this quiet £5 billion grab, which is the salary sacrifice pension. So this is a new £2,000 cap on national insurance free salary sacrifice pension contributions, and above that, normal national insurance applies. And this is forecast to raise about 4.7 billion. Does this distort sort of people's behaviour when it comes to saving for pensions?
Well,
Does it
you would
does
think
it
so.
hit higher earners, but not necessarily the super wealthy, which is what you were talking about earlier about it hits the sort of top 20%, but it's not hitting that top 1%?
I don't know exactly who it will hit. It probably won't hit a lot of the lower paid workers because they don't usually have these schemes. They may pay into a works pension. That's not quite the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly who it's going to, but at the same time, it's still, yeah, the whole point of making pension contributions tax-free is to encourage people to have a bloody pension, because no one who has to subsist entirely on the state pension is flush. So inevitably, if the reason you don't have tax on pension contributions is to encourage people to buy into them, if you do put tax on it, you're at least putting some pressure in the other direction. You may get some people not do that. And the other thing as well is I would just maybe make sure people know what the difference is. Make sure they know that their works pension isn't strictly speaking the same as this. This salary sacrifice deal is a way of you saying to your employer, you will pay me less.
Yeah.
But the money's going to go into this thing instead.
Into the pot, which is matched by the government. And that's the thing, like, this is a tax on working people. It's literally a tax on work. It's not a tax on wealth. It's not a tax on unearned income. It's not a tax on your dividends or on your capital gains or whatever. And that feels to me a little bit unfair. It really does. And
it's not a good tax.
Yeah.
Any like that with, I mean, the point of tax is just to move money around the economy in theory, but when you're looking at types of tax, you ideally want to raise tax on things you want to dissuade. So the sugar tax should be massively exploded. They should literally put a sugar tax on like the only shit foods that shouldn't have that extra tax on it should be things like ready meals, because people struggling with cost of living, you can't, because they can reasonably say that even though it's shit. But they can say that.
I would use the sugar tax to pay for everyone who goes to the supermarket once a week. So you go to Lidl and you got your Lidl Plus card, right? Every week they have your offers, and what you can do is they give you vegetables for free, they give you a bake item for free or whatever, and you just put that through, and then once a week you get those items for free. Just expand that for everyone who goes to the supermarket. They get to get some vegetables, get some fruits, get some healthy stuff, and then
you're putting the price of it on.
What? Why?
Because you'll then be reducing supply. Like, well, the supply will stay the same, but you'll increase demand. So the price will go up.
Why will you increase demand?
Because you give someone something for free, they'll take it.
Yes. So they'll be buying more fruit and veg.
Yeah,
so the supermarkets will be happy because they're getting the money from the government.
But the demand will go up, which means you put up the cost of it, because you only give them so much, right?
Yeah, it's only your £5 a day.
Yeah, but that means you then put up the price for everyone else. You put up the price for all the rest of the fruit and veg they need. That's how it'll work. If you can't increase supply, you are going to increase the price.
Top tip: if you go into Lidl,
and then that'll increase inflation.
If you go into Lidl and you get the deal where you get the most expensive vegetables for free, get your it's the cheapest vegetables you get for free. So before you put your main shop through, get the bag of the most expensive vegetables, put that on and then put a little separator.
You're never going to get past it. You're going to increase inflation.
And just get that through first. Get a whole bag of potatoes or a bag of organic carrots or something. But yeah, One Angry Pagan, £2 super chat. Tax to pay for investment, Keynesian light budget.
It is Keynesian in that they're putting off the tax rises till later. So it's spending now, tax later.
Yes.
That's a Keynesian aspect of it.
The best thing about the poll tax is it helped end Thatcher's premiership. People talking about because do you think that Labour are going to do, because obviously they haven't had time to do a full redo of all the property, how much properties are worth. It was done in the early 90s by a drive-through.
Introduced this for 2 years.
Do you think that they're moving towards that though? Because this is a good way of saying, okay, well, we need to find out how much everything's worth so we can bring in this little tax for the very, very rich people. And then once that's done, then you have the data, you have the information, and you can say, here you go. Your property is worth £1 million. You pay 10 grand a year for your council tax. And that fella down there who's got a £50,000 flat in, I don't know, fucking Burnage in Manchester, you only pay £50.
I think very possibly for two reasons. First of all, they need a system of working out which are the £2 million properties, and the same system can then work out a reasonable estimate for any property. So the fact is, they will be developing the technology to do that. And then the second thing was earlier, amongst the myriad of leaks we've had all over summer, one of them was about maybe reforming council tax. So we know that they were thinking about it. They obviously haven't announced it for this one. So the fact that so there's evidence that they're thinking about it, and of course this mansion tax lends itself. It's almost like a pilot for how you would do it.
Yeah.
What they have to be careful of is not spooking any horses, because it's a bit like the inheritance tax. It's like, only a few % of people pay it, but like a third of people think they will pay it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You'd have to you want to make it clear. You don't want people thinking their council tax is suddenly going to double because you're reforming it. Reforming things is scary. So they'll need to sort of work on it almost on the quiet.
Yeah.
And make sure when they're ready to announce it, they can confirm to people, actually, this is going to probably reduce in your bills going down.
Yeah.
Unless you live in certain areas where Labour have no chance of winning anyway, which we don't give a shit about. They can go full Rishi Sunak, I don't care if your house in Kensington costs more, because you don't vote Labour anyway.
Yeah.
They didn't vote Labour, did they? I don't think they did.
In Kensington?
Doubt it.
I doubt it. Yeah. So we had that. We had the what else have we got? We got the salary sacrifice, ISA cuts. This is the cash ISA limit reduced from 20,000 to 12,000 for working people. But if you're a pensioner, you can still get your whole 20,000 out the next day, which another hit on working age savers.
You think it's the wrong way around. The cap isn't in terms of how much you can take out; it's how much you can put in.
Oh, yeah, but this is cash that's available. So it would have been.
No.
Is it not available the next day? Can you not just take it out? Because
you
cash
can, but
ISA
that's got
rather
nothing to
than
do with the tax.
Investment ISA.
That's got nothing to do with the tax.
Oh, okay.
It's how much you can put in.
So a pensioner can put in 20 grand.
You can put in, and the rules at the moment for ISAs is you can invest £20,000 across one or more ISAs. You can do. I've got two, right? Across multiple ISAs, £20,000 a year you can put in, but then the what you gain out of it, increased share prices or whatever, everything is tax free. So you don't pay any tax on the income effectively you make from it. So all Reeves is saying is it's better for the country if you invest this money, whereas a cash ISA is like it's like super low risk. Which makes sense for pensioners, because they don't necessarily think they got another 30 years in. Some of them may have done. But you don't know that. You don't really think long term when you're retiring.
True.
So so you go to cash ISA because it's super safe. Whereas if you're investing in stocks and shares, and there's a market crash or something, you think it's fine. It's got. I don't need it for another 20 years. It's fine. It'll be worth a fortune by then. So you don't sweat it. Whereas if you're a pensioner, you've got like the hand of death on your shoulder all the time. Bit morbid, sorry. But nonetheless, that's why pensioners like the cash ISAs.
Yeah.
Because it's super safe. And they, so they just want to make sure they're not losing money with a savings account. But so I thought it was risky just from the point of view of pensioners. But then when they're saying to give that, the exemption is just for, I suppose, for political, you can make an economic argument for it as well, but for political reasons. But the other thing is the cap is still 12,000. So if anyone wants to pay into a cash ISA and not a stocks and shares ISA or a combination, 12,000. I mean, there's only so many people can afford to put away £12,000 a year anyway.
If you're a pensioner and you can afford to put away 20 grand a year, bloody hell. How much are you earning? Well, doing nothing.
Well,
exactly. Being a sheikh.
Exactly. So, we're talking
instead of a striver.
But there are some wealthy pensioners who vote in large numbers still.
27%, the last stat I saw, 27% of pensioners are now millionaires. That's
the boomer generation, because boomers are now becoming pensioners. They're
not
just
all boomers
become pensioners.
We've got the we also got the electric vehicle tax, which I mentioned. And there was a point made by the IFS where they said, well, shouldn't this be a congestion charge rather than a road charge? And I'm like, well, look, congestion's a pain in the arse for the people stuck in the traffic jam, right? But when you talk about actual damage to roads, it's per mile. It is per mile. It's the more roads that you use. If you're sitting there not moving on the road, you're doing a lot less damage to the roads than if you're moving. And
Also,
if this money
you
is
can't
there
do it
to
as a
maintain
congestion
the
charge.
roads, yeah,
It's not possible, because the only way you can do that is you'd need cameras set up,
yeah,
right? Which around London, sure, and even then a load got damaged by thugs egged on by the Tories. But around London, you can do that. Around the whole country, you can't. Whereas you can check annual mileage. You have your mileage checked and reported anyway when you do your MOT. And when people say, well, what about the first 3 years? You could either give them grace on it, or you could just get them to self-report. Because you're going to have a self-report mechanism anyway, because when you sell the car, the person buying it don't want to be liable for the tax on, like, you know, whatever you've driven it in that tax year. So there's going to have to be some self-reporting mechanism anyway.
yeah.
So you just do that. And then if it turns out you put the wrong figure down, they'll clobber you when you have your first MOT.
Well, exactly.
So that's easy. Doesn't require a load of expensive infrastructure. You just have to set up some way of allowing people to tell DVLA what their mileage is each year.
Well, you have MOT.
Well, yeah, but in the first 3 years, you don't do an MOT.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So people
So
newer cars.
but also, as I say, when you sell the car, you're going to have to report it to DVLA anyway. It's going to have to be part of the sale process. So you just set up that system, and then people can do that.
All the clocks are electronic now, so you can't just get like an electric screwdriver and put that in the end of the thing that used to clock up your odometer and put it on reverse, and the numbers would go back down. The stuff you could do in the 90s that you can't do now. Okay, so let's talk about the big one: scrapping the 2-child benefit limit. A politically savvy move or not?
Well, we know that the public, and as we've discussed before, even Labour voters strongly support the cap. But at the end of the day, it's bad. It's been said for a long, long time. If you had a few £1 billion, by far and away, the most efficient way to get down child poverty would be to get rid of this cap, right?
Yes.
So it's a classic case of it's a good policy. It's a good policy economically. It's not just about morality. It's a good policy economically. All these people whining that they're going to be paying for these Muslim people having 6 children who row sat their ass, and it's like, mate, who's going to pay your pension? It doesn't matter whether you've got the state pension, a works pension, a private pension, investments. It doesn't matter. When you're retired, all of your money, all of your passive income is being paid for, not by your savings over the years. That doesn't grow, right? It's from people working right now.
Yeah.
Every penny that's coming from interest or dividends or pensions, you know, anything like that is coming from people. If everyone stopped working right now, there'd be no pensions. There's no money for them. So you need children now, whether they're your children or not, you want them to be healthy, fit, doing well at school, learning good skills so that they can get a good job and be nice little productive work units for your pension. Yeah. Even capitalists should understand that. Because they love the passive income, but the passive income comes from workers.
Here's the thing: even the people who support getting rid of the 2-child cap are whinging, are saying, "But it should have been done last year." And I'm just like, well, you know, first of all, they didn't know what they were dealing with last year when the King's speech was coming in, and there's this amendment from the SNP saying that they should get rid of the 2-child cap. At that point, they didn't know whether we could afford it. I can understand that. And even as far as, and I will give Labour the benefit of the doubt on this, even as far as the autumn budget last year, Trump had just got in.
No, he hasn't. He wasn't.
Wasn't he? Because it was October, wasn't it? It was like a couple of days before.
October 31st. So they didn't even know for certain he was going to win. They suspected he might.
So it was the Wednesday before, and he won the following Tuesday. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, even then, because he might win, I guess, I didn't know what they were going to be dealing with, what mad tariffs he would bring in, etc. So to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that they have done it now, when, as you say, it's the moral thing to do, it's economically the right thing to do, but it's not politically popular.
It's not popular.
Can we give them a little bit of credit for...
Sure. I see no reason why not, because this, at a time when the thing is, though, I mean, if we're going to be like cynical about it, at a time when their political credibility is low, it's quite a bold policy. That being said, getting rid of it is popular with Labour MPs, and at the moment, the imminent threat to Starmer is Labour MPs, not the public.
Yes.
So
They
that's
say
the
this
cynical look at it.
bought Starmer
But at the same
time.
time, I am. Well, I don't know about Labour MPs, maybe not. But I am all about practical outcomes. The practical outcome is that a shitload of children can be raised out of poverty. There will still be child poverty. There was child poverty before the cap, and there still will be now.
But this
will do more than anything else you could have done with 3 billion quid.
I think it's like 350,000 children being lifted out of poverty.
It may even be more. It may be, but either way, it's often
450.
been said.
Sorry, 450.
Yeah, something like that. Widely reported. Resolution Foundation have been on this for years. That this is the single most efficient way to alleviate child poverty.
Yeah. The next thing I've got on my list, energy, cost of living, eco scrap. So they got rid of the eco insulation scheme, which was a massive disaster brought in by the Tories. A lot of these installations were done badly, so people got mold in the house and they had to spend even more money getting fixing the problem that was created. And this is going to, just getting rid of this is going to take £150 off people's energy bills next year.
She says on average. I'm not sure how. I don't know whether that is. I don't know, but she says it works out at an average of £150 a year.
Yeah.
So I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
If anyone's thinking of dropping in a super chat to get confetti, you've only got 17 minutes left to throw in a few super chats to get confetti, and then we'll make Diz happy with the confetti if Diz is there. Oh yeah, Diz is there. Hello, Diz from 66. So yeah, I get this. I get the fact that we needed to address this scheme, which wasn't really working very well. I don't think the people that insulate Britain are going to be too happy. But people are paying so much to heat their homes. And here's the thing, right? People don't heat the homes because they can't afford to. What happens? You end up getting more people getting sick.
Yeah.
Because they're too cold.
The thing is, politically, the reason for this is that Labour will have imagined that last year that as long as they've already been targeting energy bills anyway, they're expecting them to be significantly lower by the next election. So they were thinking if we've got the cost of living and people notice that it's getting better by the next election, we should be good. Whereas, again, because of the pressure on Starmer personally, like Rachel Reeves might not even be the bloody chancellor at the next election.
Yeah.
If they now recognise that the cost of living, they can't just time it so it's working well for the next election. They need it a bit more urgently. So what's the quickest way to do it? Just artificially reduce energy bills by taking something off it.
Yeah. Just to address something that Just Click Approve says, it should have been done last year, Graham. I'm glad they got rid of it. We should have done a lot faster. I give them credit for removing it now, but they deserve all the flack for not doing it sooner and to spending MPs for wanting to do it. Can I just address that? So first of all, this is the point. I don't think they could have done it before now. I just don't think they would have got away with it, and maybe they just didn't have the headroom in order to do it. But as far as those MPs who got suspended, they voted for an SNP amendment to the King's Speech, a 3-line whip.
Also, they broke their own election promise.
If it had been the other way round, if it had been in the Scottish Parliament, where the SNP are in charge, and 7 of their MSPs voted with Labour for a Labour amendment on something that was a 3-line whip for the SNP would have suspended those SNPs like that, because it's party discipline. This happens all the time. This is the
also,
party
I'm going to
system.
say it was a Labour campaign promise, which every Labour MP stands on. If they don't be a Labour candidate. Yeah, that Labour would. What they were saying, it wasn't in the manifesto, but what they said was they will get rid of it, but it will not be straight away. So they'd actually gone into the election saying it will not be straight away. So those Labour MPs were actually voting against the platform they stood on. It doesn't matter if it's the platform they would have chosen. By choosing to be a Labour candidate, you choose to stand on the platform that the Labour leadership builds for you.
Because you won't get elected.
Be an independent.
Yeah, if you won't get elected if you're not a Labour, if you don't have the Labour machine behind you, which is a bit frustrating when MPs have just literally got elected, and the first thing they do in the first big 3-line whip vote is to vote against the party that has just paid for them to get this £90,000 a year job. I don't know. I can understand why the party did it. I did think it was a bit harsh at the time, but a lot of those MPs who were suspended and now been made part of the party again, and a couple of people who were suspended are now left. And if you look at your party and what the shit's going on over there, what did they say? That they had 6 MPs and 4 factions, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Absolute bloody disaster. It's amazing what happens when you get an indecisive person in charge of something.
But this is the thing. I don't understand how it surprised anyone. It's like you haven't paid attention. Anyone who says they got involved and was surprised by the infighting, I'm sorry, you're as thick as mince.
Don't say that. There might be some nice people watching this, Phil, who are going to be offended by you calling them thick as mince.
Infighting.
I don't think you're thick as mince. That's just Phil's opinion.
Infighting is their thing. It's been around since the 70s.
Indecision and infighting.
That's what they're known for. They have it all the time. It's been in your face all the time. They're not serious people.
Yeah. And just click approve. They voted for an amendment. There's a difference. No, they voted for an SNP amendment. If it had been a Labour amendment, then
they voted against their own government. They voted against their own party.
Within weeks of being elected,
and they specifically voted against the platform they stood on for the election.
Yeah.
They voted against their own party's campaign statement.
I will agree.
Don't like the campaign statement, then you stand as an independent. No one forced them to be a Labour candidate.
Yeah. Join another. Yeah, it is like on purpose scoring a goal for the other team in a game of football, and you're like, what? We're the ones who pay you. We are. Anyway, or at least pay you to get in. So growth. Can we talk about growth? No big reforms on property tax, wealth tax, planning, in-work support, pension taxation, corporate incentives, productivity. Capital investment was prioritised, but overall public service spending is still pretty tight. It's still pretty, close to what the Tories were doing. Labour promised a growth budget, and whereas this budget wasn't a disaster, it wasn't a disaster budget like what Truss and Kwarteng cooked up. But I mean,
it's the opposite.
This is
It made gilts go down. That means that borrowing is going to be way cheaper now.
Yeah.
So the pound now looks. Literally, as soon as the OBR released it before they should have done, gilt yields just dropped. But that's a good thing because that's the price we're paying. So that's the price of government borrowing. So when you say gilt yields drop, what you're saying is the price of government borrowing massively dropped.
Yeah. But then it kind of ticked up again over the next hour. But
it's still down.
Yeah. Phil's going to check that now. And so there's no way of this. Do you think that people could describe this particular budget as austerity light? Do you think this is
austerity is when you cut back on spending? The spending's been preserved from last year.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it has gone up. It has gone up. No, from last year because the 2-child cap, that means that's extra spending. And also they were planning on those welfare cuts, which they didn't really explain what they were last October, but we then found out was going to be for PIP, but that didn't happen. So all they've actually cut is Motability.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, they have increased spending, but last year's budget, which was the budget for the Parliament, massively increased spending by over £100 billion. That's not austerity is when your spending goes down, not up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, but they cut spending in that area, but overall it's gone up. Austerity is when overall it goes down. Like I keep saying, if I go out and do my grocery shopping and 1 week I don't get some apples, but I buy some caviar, my shopping has gone up. That's not austerity, right? I'm spending more just because my apple budget's gone down.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get caviar, by the way, because it stinks, but when was the budget? What was the date of the budget? No, gilt yields are still lower than they were.
Okay.
So the budget was on the 26th. On the 26th, gilt yields were at about 4.5. Now they're at 4.45.
Do you think, as a result of this, that the majority of working people, as the term they love using, will feel better off or worse off?
I don't know how they will feel because often they'll feel how they're told to feel by the media. But if they actually analyse how it's going to affect them, like if they do you get on like BBC, do it, Guardian, do it, you get like a budget calculator, put your details in, see what comes out. I think when I put it in, like for my wife and I, and we're on like good, very good income. I ain't complaining. It comes out at something like 12 quid a year more.
Oh, wow.
And that's it for
Yeah.
me. So for ordinary working people, it could easily come out at, I don't think it'd be less, because I don't think any taxes have gone down. But, if you think about like even the fiscal drag thing, which would affect anyone earning more than the personal allowance,
Yeah.
the fiscal drag at the moment is from the Tories. Yes, Labour could have got rid of it, but it's from the Tories. So a lot of these taxes don't even come into effect. Even the mansion tax doesn't come into effect till like 2027 or something, because they've got to work out how they're going to tell what is worth 2 million quid. So a lot of this stuff doesn't come into effect immediately.
Yeah.
Or even as immediate, as in from next April, which is when is usual. I mean, if you've not got an EV, you're not going to be paying anything extra. If you've not, well, you're already paying extra because you've got a different car. I mean, like, what is there that would affect an ordinary person?
There's no headline tax rises. As long as you don't go above 50,000 a year, you're not going to be.
If you're on more than 50,000, you're not. And I know in some parts of the country even that's a struggle, but at the same time, it's above the median.
Yeah.
Even for London, like the median average for London is about 40,000. Yeah. So if you're on like over 50,000, you're even. I'm not saying you're flush in London, but you are still better than most other people.
But the idea in the papers is that there's been these stealth taxes that have come up, and there's not much in there really. I mean, it's on savings, and it's on making it so so it's going to stay at 50 grand. It's not going to go up in line with inflation, so more people are going to go into that tax bracket. But then, okay, you've got 50 grand, and you're only taxed on what you make over that at a higher rate.
Yeah.
So your first 50 grand is still at the lower tax rate. So yeah, I don't know, Phil. I feel like this was in some ways a bit of a nothing budget because it didn't make many people worse off, didn't make people better off.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably what we needed right now, unfortunately, because of the shit state of our economy, because of fucking Brexit costing us £500 billion. That's what Nigel Farage cost this country £500 billion.
That's the Treasury.
No.
Over a 5-year period, it'd be over £1 trillion. Because remember, the actual tax rate is.
Was that 90 billion? That's 90 billion for tax. That's just Treasury.
Revenue.
Oh, right.
The actual amount for the country is about 200 billion a year, and all the rest of that
that's over $1 trillion,
would go for over 5 years. Yeah. And that is money that would have gone on higher wages, more jobs, expansions, local goods and
infrastructure,
services, all sorts of things.
High-speed trains, wind
more
farms,
taxes,
solar farms,
and because some of them that comes back in other taxes later on as well. So, yeah. So 90 billion is just what it cost the Treasury.
Wow.
The country is, which is why I actually said in the video I did on it, I don't know why the Lib Dems picked that figure. Why not? You always pick the bigger figure if you want to sound impressive. Why not work it out for which would work out at just over, I think I worked out myself, 200 billion pounds a year for the country, for our GDP.
Yeah.
And again, that money goes to business owners and workers, and then they spend it on other things. It gets cycled around the economy.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. Just click approve saying, no, Graham, we need much, much more. This budget won't address any of the deep-rooted problems that we have. Child poverty will go down, which is good, but they're being extremely timid. And yet, there is a part of me that just thinks, fuck it. You've got a 150-seat majority. Just go crazy. But at the same time, they're being crucified for literally doing the right thing, doing the Christian thing, and lifting 450,000 children out of relative poverty. And yet, the newspapers are just, absolutely fucking crucifying them right now for this. Screaming about Benefit Street and about stealth taxes and all this. And this is on a mediocre thing. And this is why I think, I'm not in charge, no one listens to me, but if they did, I'll go for media reform. Now, I would have done it a year ago. That's something they should have done, because then they could get away with doing this kind of stuff.
What media reform would you put in that would stop this?
I would have it so that you have to be British to own newspapers. You can only own one newspaper.
I would do that. They would still do it.
You could only
It still
own
does.
your social media. If someone posts something that is against the law on social media in this country, we can take the social media platform to court
Even that,
because they're the
because
publisher.
if someone wants to attack this budget, like if they want to say we don't want to pay more taxes for people on benefits, there's nothing factually incorrect about that. That's an opinion, and they can post opinions. There's no media reform that could stop that. We should have media reforms for other reasons, but it would not stop that. At the end of the day, if you're going to have a private media, you're going to have rich people buying it, and rich people like being. There are some genuine socially conscious rich people, but none of them are
Not
buying
many of them.
newspapers.
Not many
Not
of
very
them.
many. So you are, these you. There are some things we need media reform for. We do need, for example, that they be based in this country. We do need that they are. You don't get to own multiple like the Daily Mail are buying the Daily
The
Telegraph, for
Telegraph.
Christ's sake.
I know.
Like,
Just as you thought the Daily Telegraph couldn't get any more ridiculous.
but so it's like everything's owned by. In fact, there was a report out like a week ago. I've done a video on it for today that worked out that 90% of the press in this country is owned by 3 conglomerates.
Yes.
It might be 2 quite soon, but either way, it's like there's 3, and that's everything. People think we've got this diverse press. No, we haven't.
Yeah.
It's all owned by like 3 people.
Yeah.
And but what you can't do is you can't do anything that says that on this particular day you've got to report on this story and not that story. You can put a duty of accuracy on them. That's what I would do. That's my biggest media reform: a duty of accuracy. So they cannot print anything.
Well, that's what Chris Sees just said. Make it so that the media are no longer to publish opinions, just news.
Well, you can't stop that.
I love that idea. I love it. Come on. You can come on YouTube and talk to us and we can give our opinions. But if you're writing for a newspaper, they can only report the news. Therefore, the only news outlets that are allowed, Reuters, AP, Associated French Press. Just tell us.
I think it's difficult to do that. You can force them to make it clearer what is opinion, and literally make them put a tag on it saying "may contain bollocks."
Yeah.
I was looking for something. Was it last week or something? Basically, the Telegraph were reporting on something. I forgot what it was now. I made a note of it somewhere, and the Tories were all over it. Oh, this person has worked out. It was something to do with net zero. And I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it was basically a bloke had put up a 1-page website. It looked like it'd been designed on a BBC Micro, where they had this graph that was making out some cost or anything, but there was absolutely zero research behind it. And it was just a bloke. It wasn't like professor of clever clogs at Clever University or anything.
There's a guy,
they will still.
A guy who runs a think tank on his own.
Someone puts a thing up.
Can we just say, we've got 1 minute to give 8 super chats. If you want to give 8 super chats in the next minute, then we'll get confetti. Anyway, go on. So, sorry, Phil.
So, I wish I could find the bloody thing. I made a note of it somewhere, but I can't. Oh, here it is. Right.
Go on.
Oh, hold on. This is just my tweet, and I haven't actually put the. But I need to find it again. Why didn't I put the link of the website? Oh, well, I put. Oh, I can't show it to you. Shit, I've got the wrong camera for this. But well, I'll tell you what. I'll post it to you on WhatsApp. So I screenshotted it, and this was basically it. And the Telegraph managed to write an entire piece based on that.
Okay.
And someone had just put it up on a website, and it's not like a website with lots of different pages and stuff you click around and find. That was it. That was basically it.
Okay, I've just brought it up on the screen here for everyone to see. I will expand it.
And the Telegraph managed to try and like make this entire, attacking like green levies and stuff like that and net zero based on this.
Wow. Network costs going more. Generation subsidies.
But there's no proof they've based it on anything. And also look at it. I mean, just a website with that on it, and that's been done on a BBC Micro. That's some guy in his pants in his mother's attic.
Yeah, with Courier font, Courier computer font from the mid-80s on your PCW. 825.
And yet a national newspaper will just look at it and go, "Oh, that suits our worldview." So we'll mech out. And I had to find this. They didn't provide a link or anything.
Yeah.
I had to find where because they had to reference the person. But they present it as if it's this big academic study. No, and it's someone who's put up a one-page website. And that's what our news is driven by. So when you see in the news, "Oh, new study says this," and they know most people aren't going. I find out what the study is about. But most people aren't going to do that. They'll just go, "Oh, a major study." They just assume it's a credible study, where almost none of them are. Even in the papers you might think are presented, and always be careful of that. If you say, "Oh, study, provides this information, it fits your worldview," don't just say, "Oh, there's this new study that's done the thing." You need to look it up. Yeah. Is it credible?
Yeah. Migration Watch UK is just one man who just makes shit up, and he gets published all the time in newspapers, which then get picked up by the TV because they mentioned this thing was in the newspaper. But it's a one-man show of some guy who's a racist who just doesn't like foreigners, and he has a Migration Watch think tank. Frank says the fact the media keep talking about the millionaires leaving from that think tank from that one-man team doing in his basement is pathetic. I think that's Migration Watch there. But yeah, the millionaires are leaving. It's something like 99.7% of millionaires stayed in the country last year. Because people like living here. They get to live in London. They get to go to a show. They get to go to really great restaurants. They can go to Saudi Arabia and live in an encampment in the middle of the fucking desert, in a walled city, not even a city, a walled village full of leathery people like themselves. But it's a shit life. There's no art. There's no culture. There's no things to do. There's no bands playing. You can't go out and see, I don't know, Shawaddy Waddy.
Thing is, though, we keep saying for the super wealthy, which should be the focus, like millionaires. There's some pensioners that are millionaires. But the super wealthy, they can live here and not live here anyway because they have multiple houses. They pick one for where they're going to be tax based. Yeah. So they can still come here. They don't technically live here. So when they talk about billionaires leaving, they mostly mean people who just decide that they're going to be somewhere else for tax purposes, but they're still here.
Sid says, "Sorry, Graham, it's the end of the month. We've used all our YouTube budgets up now. Don't worry about it, Sid." Having looked around and seeing Phantom in June, Piccadilly is pretty naff for 3 from diets. Gallifreyan Man, I don't know what that means, but probably read it wrong. Just just to round up talking about the budget, because obviously we've got to round up the show now because we've been wanging on for over an hour. Public services are going to still be under strain after this budget. Growth is still going to be difficult for
20 years
after this budget. I don't know if people are going to really feel the tax burden going up too much. If you're already earning 50 grand a year, is it going to be that bad?
And also, the reason why the state pension went up, the way it's been reported in the press to make you hate pensioners, is it's going up above the level of inflation. The reason for that is because the triple lock means that your pension goes up by, I forget, it's either 2 or 2.5%. The rate of inflation or the average rate of earnings.
Yeah.
And so in the last year, the average rate of earnings has exceeded the rate of inflation, which means people on average have seen their incomes rise above the level of inflation.
Yeah.
So that, so it's not just that that's the reason pensions are getting it. So it's in line with average earnings. It's just that in the past few years, it's risen in line with inflation because inflation has exceeded average earnings.
Yeah. So
that means workers on average are getting more than inflation. People on the minimum wage certainly are because that's set by the government.
Yeah.
And long may that continue. So if in the next few years, pensioners continue to get an above an inflation rise, it will be because of a combination of the fact that inflation is actually expected to come down quite dramatically next year.
Yeah.
Again, if Trump can stop being stupid. Or at least be more cautiously stupid, which he might be because he's coming under pressure on the cost of living now.
That's something I just remembered. Go on, sorry.
And the cost of and the average earning. If pensioners next year also get an above inflation increase, it's because earnings have carried on going above the level of inflation.
Yeah. So I just remembered they brought up the minimum wage, which is commendable. But they brought down the threshold for repaying your student loan. And what some analysts have sussed is that if you are on a minimum wage and you work, I think, 40 hours a week, you could actually end up being above the rate that that you have to pay back your student loan. But the government can't take that money off you if it makes you go below the minimum wage.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a look at that, because those two things can't exist in the same universe.
I'll tell you what this sounds like then, because I didn't know about that. That's a bit worrying, because then you've got to be, because at the moment the government are like trying to get on top of this care allowance scandal. This sounds like it could create the same problem, couldn't it?
Yes. The other thing they've done is they've whacked the amount that foreign students have to pay up by a lot. I think it was like 500 quid. Now it's up to 925 quid or something. The extra. But yeah, that's to help British kids go to university. Also, this is an add-on from last budget, which is that the Tories froze. The Tories did a number on universities, because they froze tuition fees at 9,250 or whatever it was for years and years and years. And although it was costing these universities more, because cost of living was going up, cost of everything was going up. A pint of lager is now £7. That even though they were doing that, they were also saying they wanted fewer foreign students coming over. So they were doing everything in their power to make Britain unattractive to foreign students, i.e. telling people that the day they get their degree certificate, they have to fuck off out the country, rather than actually, I don't know, live in the country and contribute, paying tax or whatever.
Mind you, it took me ages to get my university certificate, so that could have kept me in the country for 2 years.
All right, maybe
a printing error, so it took them a while.
Oh no, but yeah, so Labour have taken off that freeze on the amount people have to pay for tuition fees, but at the other end, we're not being as attractive as we could be. The Tories actually put a cap on the number of foreign students that are allowed to come and study. Yeah. And I don't know if Labour's taken that off, but whether they have or not.
No, they're leading into it, as far as I can tell.
Our migration figures are down to 200,000 from a peak of, 800,000? It went up to 1 million one year, didn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. But also that 200,000 basically means it's pretty much where it was when people didn't have a massive issue with it. I'll tell you what's really weird, though, about that migration, because no one's talking about it, because in Reform UK are trying to work out how they can attack a 69% drop in net migration. But who was it? Was it the Daily Mail? Someone had a bash. Yeah, it is. The Daily Mail are actually moaning about it, the net migration coming down like this.
Yes.
They're moaning about it. They say it is a brain drain from Starmer's social.
Yeah, I saw that today.
I'm like, your mind's up.
1 minute they're like, oh, immigrants, they're the worst. Next it's like, oh no, the immigrants are leaving. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Never happy. But you know why they changed things to go on about Motability last week? It's because no one was coming over in small boats. Yeah, the whole week, nobody came over because the weather's been shit. It's too dangerous. It's too cold. You spend 5 minutes in the water, you'll die. So yeah, so it's like quick. They spin the wheel of misfortune, Phil, and it got to disable people this week. How bloody dead! I saw this disabled person and they had a BMW, Phil.
Yeah.
That's not fair. I can't afford the BMW. Anyway, the big expense with these cars is the adaptations that need to be put in place, not the cars themselves.
And also, they're not buying the cars. Motability's not paying for a car for you. Like, the people are renting them.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, we're going to leave it at that. So thank you very much. Phil Moorhouse of a different buyer's fame. You'll be doing your live show tomorrow, I guess, at 7 o'clock. So please join Phil for that. And that'll be fun. I'm going to be back at 9:30 tonight for the Friday night social. I'll be grabbing a drink. I'll be cracking out my Terry's chocolate orange flavored Baileys on ice, and we'll be having a natter about all the shit that's been going on this week. And there's been a lot of shit in our lives and in the lives of others, i.e. what's going on around the world. So please join us for that. If I don't see you tonight, have a great weekend. Don't forget to like this video, because that helps us out, helps the algorithm. Feed the beast that is the algorithm. please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and then you can, join in with the chat. And please hit the bell notification icon to find out when we're going to be going live. So until next time, from Phil and I, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.